Have you ever stumbled on a horror game so good you wonder how the world hasn't been screaming about it? Today we're diving into the shadows, where the underrated horror games hide, waiting to mess with your mind. Let's start with something that feels like it crawled straight out of the 90s, Tormented Souls. Even though it came out decades after the original Resident Evil, this game nails that classic survival horror formula. You play as Caroline Walker investigating missing twins inside the creepy Wildberger hospital. After a brutal attack leaves her missing an eye, she wakes up trapped and alone, and things only get worse from there. Fixed camera angles, clever puzzles, and light-based survival mechanics make every step tense. It's like a love letter to old-school horror polished for modern players. Proof that nostalgia can still scare the hell out of you. Now if Tormented Souls brings the heat of old-school horror, Cryostasis freezes it solid. This 2009 hidden gem from Ukrainian studio Action Forms puts you on a derelict Soviet icebreaker trapped in the Arctic. You're Alexander Nestorov, a meteorologist who can relive and change the final moments of the crew using his mental echo ability. It's not about jump scares, it's about slow, suffocating tension. Your body temperature constantly drops, turning warmth into your most valuable resource. With haunting symbolism and a story about guilt and survival, Cryostasis isn't just scary, it's tragic. From frozen isolation to political terror, Detention takes us to 1960s Taiwan during martial law, where horror hits close to home. This 2D side-scrolling nightmare blends historical trauma with supernatural dread. You explore an abandoned school while the world twists under fear and repression. The monochrome art feels like walking through a living painting. Quiet, beautiful, and devastating. You don't need to know the history to feel it. The guilt, grief, and paranoia seep through everything. It's horror that doesn't just scare you, it breaks your heart. And speaking of heartbreak and isolation, No One Lives Under the Lighthouse takes that loneliness and makes it terrifying. Styled like a lost PS1 game, this indie horror feels like it came from another world. You're the new keeper of a seaside lighthouse, and at first, everything seems ordinary. Until it isn't. The more you explore, the stranger things get. Strange noises, shifting shapes, and the constant feeling that something's watching you. Its lo-fi graphics and eerie atmosphere lull you into a trance before hitting you with one of the most unexpected chase sequences in horror gaming. Next up, a game that doesn't rely on cheap jump scares or cinematic cutscenes. Darkwood. This top-down survival horror throws you into a cursed forest where the rules of nature no longer apply. You scavenge, explore, and build makeshift shelters, praying the creatures outside don't get in. Every night is a test of nerves. The sound design alone makes you want to mute your speakers. But you won't, because you need to know what's out there. With its eerie visuals, ambiguous story, and brutal difficulty, Darkwood is pure tension from start to finish. It's horror you survive, not just play. And if Darkwood is all about primal fear, Signalis is all about emotional dread. Set in a cold sci-fi dystopia, you play as Elster, an android searching for her lost partner in a decaying facility full of nightmares. The pixel art is stunning, minimal but deeply expressive. With limited resources, cryptic puzzles, and haunting music, Signalis feels like a dream you don't want to wake up from. Now let's switch gears for a bit, because not every underrated horror game is small or obscure. The Quarry might have had a big studio behind it, but it still doesn't get the credit it deserves. Think of it as Until Dawn's summer camp sibling, 9 counselors, 1 deadly night, and your choices decide who walks away. Yeah, it's cinematic, and sure the gameplay is light, but as a group horror experience, it's fantastic. Whether you're playing solo or with friends, it's like directing your own slasher movie. Then there's SOMA, a game that doesn't just scare you, it philosophically wrecks you. From the creators of Amnesia, The Dark Descent, it's set in an underwater research base after humanity's extinction. You wake up as Simon Jarrett, surrounded by machines that think they're people. And maybe you're one of them. Instead of monsters, the horror comes from realization. What if your consciousness isn't really you anymore? It's claustrophobic, heartbreaking, and profound. And finally, the strangest, most haunting game you've probably never finished. Pathologic. This isn't your typical survival horror. You play as one of 3 healers in a plague-ridden town, each trying to save the people, or at least decide who deserves saving. The game gives you just 12 in-game days, and every choice cuts deep. It's slow, it's brutal, and it's overflowing with atmosphere. Pathologic doesn't want to entertain you, it wants to test you. And once you've experienced it, you'll never forget it. Before we wrap up, one last shout out. Cry of Fear. What started as a Half-Life mod turned into one of the best free psychological horror games ever made. You wander through dark city streets with only your flashlight, battling grotesque creatures that may or may not be real. It's dated, sure, but its raw atmosphere, strong story, and multiple endings still hit hard. Plus, it's free on Steam, so really, what are you waiting for? So there you have it, a look into the shadows of gaming. These titles might not top sales charts or dominate Twitch streams, but they capture what horror's really about: dread, beauty, and the fear of what you can't explain.